Today we are traveling to Honolulu, and I have some interesting topics to talk about, and I think you guys will be really interested. Pretty much I want to talk about how to break the behavioral patterns, how to change your life, pretty much, because life is all the small decisions, all the small things we do every day. But sometimes it's just hard for us to see what is it that we actually do to make things the way things are. It may seem like maybe it's God, maybe it's destiny, but no, it's actually us every day doing some certain behavior. So let's talk about that, and we'll take this moment with me forever. Absolutely no idea where this journey today will lead me, but I am trusting the process and trusting the guidance of my intuition, the lifestyle, and the wisdom of the place, travel-wise, spiritually-wise. Okay, let's start this morning journey to Honolulu. I believe it's 7:16, and it's not that it's so early, but it's kind of is, because I had to wake up 6 o'clock, and cat is just probably getting used to the place. It kept on waking me up like about 3 times at night. I had to comfort that little baby, and even though I had earplugs, he still woke me up. So I feel a little lazy to drive this road today. It's the first time I'm gonna drive to Honolulu, out from this village. I feel a little lazy, but at least I get to enjoy all the pretty views. It says it's 49 minutes. It's not so bad. They have 2 photo shoots, and I'm trying to get more people on the north shore, but I didn't expect it to be such a village. I thought it's going to be like Kaneohe, a little bit of city, but it's not really. It's not really. But I think, as I said before, this is the tallest mountain. Yeah, and what's interesting about Hawaii, and something that I would not expect, I think, is that the roads are amazing. And now it's for a little while, it's just this 2-lane road. But then, in a little while, it actually turns to a huge highway. About 4 lanes one way and 4 lanes the other. So 8 lanes, which is pretty crazy. You would think that small island, and they would not count on things highway. But for the village life, it's pretty nice, because in the villages where I'm from, there are no such roads. There are 2 lanes like that, but mostly they are kind of destroyed, and this is pretty nice. Usually I'm okay to jump straight ahead to all the sharing, but I spent almost 2 days being absolutely quiet, just enjoying the spaciousness of the village life. And some new interesting things came to my consciousness about how sometimes if we want to really change our life, we need to look at ourselves from a third person perspective. And usually we don't see ourselves, but if that is the case, it is hard to navigate the big change. Just because you don't see yourself, the way how you act, what you talk about. And what I observed these 2 days is that I can be pretty negative. And that made me a little upset. Just because now I'm working with my psychologist. I mean, it's been years, just so you understand. But we work even deeper, on the deeper levels, with the separation from the mother figure, from the father figure. And what's interesting is that those two figures, even though they can bring you like a lot of pain, even though they can be so loving, like it doesn't matter, but you can inherit from them some qualities that are really, really on your way into becoming like financially successful or successful in your relationships. Just because, like, you might say that if your parents really loved you, then it's going to be like absolutely easy for you to like navigate any change. But I know it's pretty crazy, but actually it's not like that. Why? Just because mostly people don't go through a separation well. It's either suppressed, it's either suppressed with aggression or with love. So your parents can love you so much, they don't want to part with you. They want for you to be the same, to be like merged. But sometimes, because being teenager is all about we always separate. There are different stages of separation, and basically it's called crises, like baby crisis, child crisis, teen child crisis, old crisis. So pretty much in those crises, ever since I don't want to lie, but I know that one of the biggest from the birth is 1 year old, being 1 year old. So then 3, I think, major ones. I'm sure there are thousands more in between. But what happens is that baby and the mother absolutely merged. They one thing. Before the age of 1, a baby is living emotions through their mother. They're feeling through their mother, they're eating through their mother. In the womb, of course, it's all one system. So the more crises your child is going through, the more you separate from, the more the baby separates from parents. But sometimes that might not be the case, because the separation is suppressed either out of aggression or love, or both. And especially in teen life, when you're a teenager, because teenagers, when they separate from you, they go completely like this anarchy. They want to destroy all of the foundation you ever created for them. They want to destroy everything, and it can be pretty aggressive. Sometimes parents, I think it was in my case, they really suppress that, because it also looks pretty horrible. This child can start drinking and smoking, just like it was in my case. So, but when you don't go through this separation, when you don't experience it, then there are even more problems going forward. Because maybe your parents didn't abuse you, maybe they loved you, I don't know what he can love so much. But they loved you to the moon and back, so much, and never hurt you, never said a bad thing. Love is much stronger than pain. So naturally, love love can be absorbed stronger. Okay, a water break. But what if your parents, they did not know how to communicate with each other? Or what if they did not know how to make money? Or how to ask for a raise? Like progress in their professional life. What if that was the case? So then what happens is that oh, that's strange traffic. Pretty much you emerged with them if they didn't let you experience separation. And if you love them so much, usually it's so hard to, the farther it is, the harder it is to separate. And if there are things that you can separate with easily, like physically, even though not everyone, sometimes parents and children can have like merged living situation, bank account situation, stuff like that. But sometimes that is more manageable than, for example, the limiting belief constellations, some characteristics, like some features like related to character, habits and all of that can be extremely hard to manage to create something yourself. So this was a very long prep for me to say that it's very hard, impossible even, to notice that within yourself until someone works with you on that. And believe me, as a person who had therapy for like 5 years, I know what I'm talking about. And only now, it's not that it's just like with your mind you need to work on it. Like, because I understand that with my mind, absolutely. I've been saying that for years, like, wow, I don't want to be like my parents. I don't want to I don't want to single them out. It's in general. Of course I like love them. Of course there are features that I want to get from them, like some, like let's say 50-50, right? But of course there are the other 50 that I definitely do not want to have. This is why I'm a different, separate person. I want separate, different things. And since that I'm living a life physically, emotionally, like country-wise and belief-wise and all of that, absolutely, like totally 360 degrees opposite from what my parents are. Oh my god, I think somebody's car broke and now they are just like ruining it for everyone else. This is crazy. That's crazy. And I wish somebody had the courage to just like pass them, maybe, finally. So yesterday and maybe the last 2 days, and this is already huge. You have to understand that this is like huge. Like why were we standing like this is insane. Okay, never mind. So what you need to understand is that understanding things with your mind, it doesn't really do anything. I mean, it does. Okay, I was wrong. It still does. It's still good. It's still good to have the awareness of the problem. It's to believe that it's like 50% solved situation. But here's the thing. I want to say that the behavioral change, this is what we're looking for. Because we think that our life is going to the, like, how do you say that? our life is becoming like a nightmare magically. We don't do anything. Like, I do things nicely, like I make good choices, and it's like it's just magically going to the waste. It's not me, but the truth here is that it actually you, and it's actually me. It's us for our own life, with the choices and the behavior that we like do, create, all of that. So, but notice yourself as a third, like from the third state perspective, is incredibly hard. Even though this is my profession to dig in and dig in and dig in into my own self, like that self-discovery, which I know is helpful and is going to be helpful for even more people going forward. Because believe me, we are not so different. Good evening from Waikiki. It was such a long day. It was such a long day, and I never got to finish my story. So I'm thinking that maybe now it's time. I'm gonna feel into it a little bit more. But really, I want to finish that story about how emotional separation from your parents is something to consider to do and to have. And how, if you want to do change, if you want to break throughs in limiting belief and constellations, if you want to have a life that is so different than like your parents, and analyze how they live, and it doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that you want something different. And that means emotional separation. It's not about hate. It's not about emotions. It's just about, I want a different life. So I will continue with that story that I started about how when we want to break through that, let's call it matrix of constellations, limiting beliefs, we want to start doing like what we need to do, and then change will happen. So what the story is all about? The story was about me, and it's so before I go into the story, it's not that I necessarily work like specifically targeting the like separation, emotional separation with parents. It's just it always comes up. But what happened lately, I've been working with my psychologist, and for now I stopped any work with like coaches or mentors, because I think I have a pretty good direction at the moment. So, and also bear with me as I pack. I'm prepping to go drive back north where I live. So I noticed that specifically in my example, that I have the outcomes that I don't enjoy in my relationship, and sometimes in like financial situation, and like many other different things. So what this led me into is finding out that I actually repeat some of the patterns that are in my family, that runs in my family, from both sides. And what you need to do in the case like that, you need to work through this, and you actually need, it's not like it's, I mean, sometimes it is like a mindset work. It just shifts something within your mind, and then you may not notice it. But most of the time it is actually things that you can notice, because it's actually, maybe it's hard for you to believe, but we mess our life up ourselves. We just don't notice it. We think that we talk okay, we think that we act okay, we think that, like, you know, it just feels normal, but it's just that circle of comfort zone. So when you actually pay attention to things that you do, you will be very, very surprised. So what I did is that I I don't know what to start with, but I was having a dinner with my partner, and then I noticed that I had this habit of saying things in a specific way. I always want to change it, but never got a chance to actually notice how I start talking like this. But in the process, I noticed, and I was absolutely amazed. And what's interesting is that when shifts like this, they happen, gotta be patient with yourself, and then maybe first time it will not happen, maybe second time it will be better, and like, it's just a muscle. It's like a muscle, you know, it's like a workout. So let's say I noticed some toxic patterns that, interestingly, actually I inherited, I mean, both from my parents, but also from that same partner. But I made him stop, but I noticed that as he stopped, I continued, because I had this toxicity probably like build up in me, and now I do that. So, and the toxicity comes in the form of like very toxic comments that used to be a joke, then they turned into not a joke. And I think it's really not a good way to talk to somebody, and it can be really upsetting, and as a result it can like I think create some miscommunication and all of the problems. So my partner, he cut like veggies in a certain way, and as he said something like, oh, I think like I didn't cut one more, I think I left it out, and I almost opened my mouth, and then I get stuck, and then I get freaked out. I was always complaining about one of my parents. I will not single them out, but actually they both were like that, so there is no need to single anybody out. So I was always complaining, but specifically about one parent talking in a very toxic way, and I was constantly going back to the childhood, recalling it, like, why didn't that parent like ever told me what she or he needs? I'm trying not to go into like specific direction to tell, is it my mom or my dad, but why was it always like blah 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 blah? And you constantly put another person down, you're constantly being toxic, emotionally abusive, but you never actually say what you want, and then you never receive it because you never said to another person what is it that you want. And I noticed in that same moment, I was like, what do I want? What outcome do I want in this situation? I was about to say, of course you didn't. Did you ever do anything right? Is that okay? That's not okay to say things like this. And I was gonna say it as a joke, because he can make a joke like that. But when he does this, I get angry, and I stopped him doing that. But now I noticed that I do that, and this is not a joke. To talk to a person, it's like this, it's not okay. It actually builds it's not okay. Let's just put it this way, it's not okay. So how do we change? How do we become a different person? How do we suddenly go from a broke to a millionaire? How do we go from toxic to not toxic to somebody who is extremely pleasant to be in relationship with, to have conversation with? Practice, 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 and again practice. Yes, like in my case, and I know it, I'm not trying to defend myself, but I know that this developed as the like defensive mechanism, because it's been going on for years, just from that side on me, every day for years, 6 years or 5, I don't know. So now it stopped, but I see that these toxic patterns, they spread onto me, and it's my turn now to say no to them. But it's extremely hard. You'll notice, like, you want to, it's same like you want to change your diet, you want to start exercising, you want to start prioritizing self-care, you want to stop hanging out with toxic people. Small, little by little, you do these exercises. Today a little bit, and again a little bit, because sometimes when I do that, it's a joke, which I think is not a joke, it's not okay, still it's not okay. But sometimes when I'm mad, I can actually, now I noticed, sometimes really, but say like very angrily like, toxic things like, can you please, like, no, not like it's something like, of course you never do things okay, like, you know, this is toxic. But now it's all on me. Do you think somebody cares what happened to you in the past? Like, even I know that I'm a victim in a situation, but this works out not good for me. And I've seen so many people that are recovering from toxic relationship. The toxicity spreads onto you. But the problem is, you know what? But nobody wouldn't care that that same person put in that seeds of toxicity into you. No one. Not a single person. Everyone will just see how you are a bad person, like how you are toxic, how you are like that, you know? And then usually in cases like that, the other part will go into the victim, like, oh yeah, it suffers. And that will just play out. This is how we not willingly take the perpetrator's side. But I think, and I've seen it and I've experienced it, you will not prove anything to anyone. And even though you are correct, even though, like maybe in my example, this same person put that thing, like that toxic pattern onto me, I never spoke to anybody like that before. Maybe when I was like maybe teenagers with, I don't know. But nobody will care that it's those same toxic patterns that they get you intoxicated. You learn to survive in the relationship like that, and then you acquire some skills which only will only be bad for you. So, because I believe everything is like, yes, we are like human, yes, there's science, yes, there's action, but I do believe in manifestations. I do believe in energy, because I see that sometimes without any effort, like actually things happen. And like what I'm trying to mean is that it's not always by force and like direct action. Sometimes we make like a small efforts, but the result can be big. And I believe it's because of manifestations. So you heard this very popular thing on the internet, raise your vibration. I believe it's true, because like I can just explain it with different wording. Raise your vibration sounds too spiritual for some people. Like, what the hell is raising vibration? Like, but it's true. But if you stay in the toxic patterns, it will only play out bad for you. You are 100% correct to act this way with that person, maybe. But that will only put you into the like low vibrational state, and then you don't need that. So let me continue. I think I'm all set with the story, but maybe I'll have just a little bit more to share. Wait, I'll give you some nice views. So I think I'm all set with the story, but it was curious for me how it all started with me sharing things about actually emotional separation from parents. But wait, let's look at the view. Let's admire the view. Nice. Okay. So maybe it will be important to mention that most of the time, from my experience, from what I've seen, if you have a toxic relationship, your personal relationship, then these are the patterns that you've seen already somewhere. This could be the relationship that you observed your parents have. This could be the relationship that you had with one or both of your parents, or maybe like a very, I don't know how you say it in English, but like important caregiver, because it can not only be like parents, you know, it can be I think there's a phrase like that, but I think I don't remember now. Let's put it this way: any other caregiver that was significant adult, I think, yeah, significant adult, So they can put in stuff into you, and they can affect you as well. It's like grandmother, maybe your favorite aunt. So as a heads up, if you are, and if you've been, and if you are in a toxic relationship, so recovering, for example, then you will definitely need this to work with emotional separation from your parents. It's not always 100%, but most of the time. Maybe you don't recognize that. Maybe you maybe you don't believe that you have a toxic relationship, had a toxic relationship, or have. But maybe it's a good time to pay close attention to your memories from childhood, to see how parents talk to you. This is just as a heads up. But even if you don't, maybe it's something from the ancestry line. Maybe, I don't know, maybe, like, it could be so many variations. But what's important is that if you don't like how things are in your life, then you must certainly change something. And the way how to change it is to observe how you behave, how you talk, how you act, how, like, all of that. So sometimes, and especially at first, you may not notice the change. You may think that like coaching and or psychology is just a stupid thing that doesn't help you much. But just give it time until this really good habit will like just be planted into you, and then they will slowly change you. And then one day, just like me, you will be like, oh my gosh, I didn't notice that I speak this way. I didn't notice that I act this way. Okay, now I understand why people like I don't have relationship, or I have bad relationship, or like blah 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 blah. Because this pattern can spread out to any relationship, with yourself, with your body, with other people, even with money. So I hope you enjoyed this my monologue about this, and I guess I will be continuing the way back home. I am slowly exiting the Honolulu, and yeah, it was as usually nice sharing, nice talking, and hopefully I'll see you in a different video. And bye bye.